What is going on, everybody? My name is Kneeckoh, and welcome back to another Pokemon Sword and Shield video. Before we get into anything, let me just say again, thank you everyone so much for hitting 1,000 subscribers on the channel here. It was awesome. The 1,000 subscriber special we did on Twitch was a lot of fun. The video highlights are up now, so you can check that out if you want to see all the fun we had playing Mario Kart as a community on stream. It was a lot of fun. So thank you again, but let's get into the Pokemon DLC. So Pokemon Sword and Shield has had a ton of controversy surrounding it since the game's launch. People think it is not up to the standards of a current generation game, blah blah blah. Everyone's upset we didn't get the national dex, the tree textures look bad, whatever. Everyone loves to complain about the Pokemon franchise. However, I think these are some of the best games we've had so far. They are not without their faults, but they are very good nonetheless. However, there's a new controversy that has come to light after they announced that this game would be receiving DLC content. First off, I don't know why anybody complains that we're getting DLC content, because everyone was totally fine with paying $60 or another full price game cost for the same game with a different box legendary. Everyone seemed to be cool with that, but now that we're getting DLC, everyone seems to be throwing a fit, and that should have been in the game in the first place, when literally they're fine with going and spending the same money they spent on the same game for a different box legendary and maybe a little bit of extra content. We spent 30 bucks and we're getting 2 DLCs. I think that's a far better deal in my opinion than going out and spending $60 for another wolf with a weapon. Okay, that's what I'm saying here. But then there's other problems, like the fact that we're getting old Pokemon back, and I don't see a problem with this. I think this is awesome. Granted, those Pokemon could have been in the game before, sure. However, I don't mind that we're getting them at a later date. One reason is because it makes it feel like an actual living world. Let's think about this. Pokemon are supposed to be animals, meaning they're only going to live in certain areas. It seems kind of silly that if all the Pokemon would live in all the regions all the time. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The fact that we're getting these new locations in the DLCs and that old Pokemon live there, that makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know about you guys, but I think that makes the game more immersive. Secondly, why do you need all 800 Pokemon in your game? You can only have 6 in your party. You're telling me you need all of them right there in that game at that given moment? You're not going to use all of them, let's be honest. There's Pokemon Home for that now. You just keep all your Pokemon there. All you're going to do is look at them, so what's wrong with just having Pokemon Home? I don't really see the need to have every single Pokemon in every single game anymore. There are so many freaking Pokemon that's just ridiculous at this point. I love Pokemon Home. I think it's a great app. It's a great feature. I am more than happy with keeping all of my Pokemon over there and only using the ones that I'm actually going to utilize this generation in my actual game. That makes the most sense to me. Maybe that's just a me thing, but I think that having all of my Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield is just going to clutter my boxes. When I'm shiny breeding, when I'm trying to make competitive teams, it's just going to make a lot of mess. I'd rather keep them all, and I do keep most of mine, over on my Pokemon Home file. But the big complaint is that people are saying because we're getting these old Pokemon that we are having to pay for Pokemon that were already in previous games. We're having to pay to get these Pokemon back, and that's just not the case at all. And it's not just old Pokemon coming back in the Pokemon Sword and Shield DLCs. We are getting a lot of new Pokemon, new Galarian forms, stuff like that, and new content. That is what you're paying for. You're paying for the new content and the new Pokemon forms. That is it. That's what you're paying for. And I say that's all you're paying for because you don't need the DLC to have access to all of these Pokemon. This has been confirmed. When they announced the DLC, this information was confirmed. If you decide to play Pokemon Sword and Shield and don't buy the expansion pass, you have access to all of those Pokemon found in those areas of the Galar region. The first way of going about doing this is when the DLC drops, all those Pokemon in that first Isle of Armor Pokedex, I'm assuming we'll have a new Pokedex for that region, we're going to have them available through Pokemon Home. You can immediately transfer those Pokemon in. That is the case. You don't need to play in the Isle of Armor. You don't even have to go to that part of the Galar region to have access to those Pokemon. If you have them in your Pokemon Home, you just send them over if you really want them in Pokemon Sword and Shield. That's how easy that is. You don't need to spend the money on the DLC to have access to those Pokemon. It is strictly about the content. We are getting a new location, a new wild area, essentially, and new raid dens and things like that. So that's one way you're going to be able to get these Pokemon. On top of that, you can still trade with everybody. It doesn't matter if they have the expansion pass or not. You can still trade with them and get those Pokemon, and that's fine. They will register in your decks and all that fun stuff. It's literally just the new location that you're paying for. You can still have access to all of the new Pokemon. That's what people are, I think, are failing to understand. All these national dexers that are tweeting out about the DLCs coming out this week, they're just upset because they think they're not going to get these Pokemon. I don't know if they just haven't been paying attention, but you can get all of these Pokemon still, which is perfectly fine with me. My brother started playing Pokemon Sword and Shield, and he is not a big fan of the idea that we're getting DLCs, and it's not because he's upset by them or anything. He just isn't interested in paying anymore for Pokemon, but he has access to all the Pokemon in the DLC, so he doesn't really care. He just knows I'll trade him anything he needs. And on top of being able to trade with other players, this is going to increase the fun of random trading. There's going to be Pokemon, if you didn't buy the expansion pass, that you don't have access to naturally in the game, that you can get from people through surprise trades and stuff like that. So that'll be really fun if you're just surprise trading randomly and you get a Pokemon from the DLC. Maybe you don't have an older game and you still don't feel like buying the DLC. You can still get those Pokemon through surprise trades. It's going to increase the surprise trade community. It's going to be really fun getting those new Pokemon if you don't have that expansion pass. And then I've seen this on Twitter. Joe Merrick talked about it on Twitter. I'll bring it over to the post actually. And I don't know if this is confirmed at all. I just saw that this was in one of his tweets regarding it. Here's the tweet right here. They say, if you don't buy the DLC, you will be able to participate in max raid battles hosted by DLC players. I haven't seen anything about this, so I don't know if that's accurate, but Joe Merrick is the guy that runs Cerebi.net, so there's a good possibility this is 100% accurate. I personally haven't seen anything about it, but this leads me to believe that that is a thing. At first, when I saw this, I figured that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe they'd lock it to the area that you're in. However, you don't really need to be in the wild area to participate in raids. You can access raids from anywhere in the world. So this makes a lot of sense when you think about it, that we'll still be able to hop in on those raids that other people are running in the Isle of Armor, in the Crown Tundra, despite not having access to the expansion pass. So this makes a lot of sense when you just really stop and think about it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm excited for these DLCs. I love new Pokemon content, and the fact that it's only $30 instead of a full cost for a new game that is pretty much the same. And like, imagine having to pay another $60 for the base game of Pokemon Sword and Shield with a new box art and a new legendary Pokemon, and then additionally is the Isle of Armor in the Crown Tundra content. Are you okay with that, or would you rather just have the DLC? Me personally, I'd rather spend the $30 and have the DLC in my current game rather than having to replay the whole thing again. But that's just me. One cool thing I've heard is that you don't have to actually beat the game to have access to the DLC if you're excited and want to just hop right in. I've heard as soon as you get to the train station that you are able to access this DLC, and that's really cool for people that, like I said, don't want to play through the entire game before hopping into the DLC. I think that's a really cool feature. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below. Are you excited for the DLC? Are you upset by the DLC? I want to hear all angles of the situation. I am just curious as to what people have to say. I just wanted to talk about the fact that there's not a whole lot of reason to be upset, in my opinion, because you still have access to the vast majority of the things that you're upset about. That's just my thoughts on the situation. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video to be entertaining and helpful, be sure to leave a like and smash that subscribe button for more videos like this in the future. Be sure to share the video with your friends to grow this community here on the channel. Speaking of community, we have a community Discord. People over there playing Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Minecraft Dungeons, things like that. So check that out if that's something that interests you. I do stream over on Twitch. That is where I had 1,000 subscriber special. We all played Mario Kart. So check that out if that's something that interests you. All my other social media should be on screen here at this point. So if you're interested in keeping up with me, this channel, the second channel, the stream, anything like that, be sure to check me out there as well. But like I said, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.